Today we'll be building this dungeon room, complete with shelving, a statue, and some dank dungeon slime. How are you today? Art Jeremiah here, and I'm back with another Building a Dungeon video. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for regular inspiration. And now we'll get right into that video. First off, I measure out the floor of the room on a piece of 1/2 inch XPS foam. I actually made it a little wider than I had originally planned because it was going to end up being too cramped. So, if you've been watching from the beginning, you may notice that from here on out, I will be significantly changing the sizes of the rooms that I had originally planned. I want this room to match the rest of my dungeon in height, so I also measure out another piece of 1/2 inch and inch thick foam. With all 3 pieces of foam, I do a basic cut with my blade around all sides, but don't cut them flush to my measurements. This will help keep the lines straight when we pull out the hot wire cutter. Now, I use a thicker ballpoint pen to draw a grid on the floor of this room. Now listen, the thickness of the pen does matter because the thinner pens will dig into the foam and rip instead of gliding across the foam and leaving an impression. So definitely use a 0.7mm or higher pen for this task. For this, I'm actually using a 1mm ballpoint pen. I will have a link in the description so that you can get the appropriate size. Also note, use a black pen. The ink in ballpoint pens are usually oil-based and will bleed through layers and layers of craft paint and Mod Podge. So, if you were like me and have purple and pink pens, don't use them. I'm speaking from experience. I decided that I wanted to give this room a brickwork floor, so I draw an alternating brick pattern amongst the grid. After the pattern is drawn, I texture the floor with my piece of sanitized asphalt. I don't know if you've tried this yet, but it is by far my favorite way to texturize my scenery. I then use an Ultra Fine Point Sharpie to add cracks in some of the bricks. I find that these Sharpies are the best for adding realistic cracks to your scenery. And now for the walls. I first hot glue my pre-measured foam together, just around the inside of the rectangles. Then stick them together. I add a good amount of pressure to the pieces until I'm satisfied that the glue has been smashed together sufficiently. I then pull out my Proxxon Cutter and cut out the wall shapes. This room will be cut into 2 pieces, leaving room for 2 entrances. Also note, each wall will be about 1 centimeter in thickness. I am only cutting the inner sides of the walls and not the outer parts. It's hard to explain exactly what I'm doing, so I'm going to do a little time lapse so that you can see for yourself. The highlighted comment is from Maricela Atempa. She said, "I love your art, heart eyes. Thanks for sharing your talent." And I just want to say, you are the best. I love you watching my videos, and thanks so much for doing so. If you want to be highlighted in an upcoming video, then don't forget to drop a comment below. I didn't get the walls as perfect as I wanted on the inside corners, so I did some cleaning up with an extended blade and a sanding block. After I'm happy with the shapes, I use my ballpoint pen to draw bricks into the walls. I don't get bogged down by measuring, and I just jump right into it. If you are worried about straight lines though, then feel free to do the measuring. Then I texture the brickwork with my piece of asphalt. I then hot glue the walls in place. Because the walls are a little on the thin side, they were slightly bendy, so I had to hold them in place while the hot glue cooled a little. Next, I pull out the Proxxon hot wire cutter and cut off the outsides of the room and walls. If you are interested in purchasing a hot wire cutter, I will have an Amazon link in the description to either this cutter or one similar. Note, the hot wire table will cut through all the layers of hot glue easily enough. I decided to use a small gargoyle I got from a Reaper Miniatures Kickstarter in this room. It's just going to represent a statue, but this particular statue will also be a trap that breathes fire out of its mouth. I wanted to give it a little height, so I go about this by sculpting a block of Super Sculpey to look like stonework. Originally, I was going to cut the block in half and demonstrate a way to easily get the brickwork pattern, but that was definitely a failure with Sculpey. As you can see, I go to chop it in half and it just ends up cracking. So instead of that, I just even out the blocks so the gargoyle will sit nicely on top. Working off that, I decided to add a little more height and visual interest with a spare piece of foam I had been experimenting with. This little piece of foam was actually dipped in resin, so I'm able to super glue my Sculpey block right to the top without worrying about it melting the foam. And before long, I have a nice little statue on a plinth. I am able to paint the gargoyle directly because the Reaper Bones miniatures don't need to be primed before painting. After my black undercoat had dried, I decided the statue was just a little too high, so I chop off the bottom and sand it so it will sit flat. More on the gargoyle later. Every workshop needs shelving, so we are making some simple shelves out of popsicle sticks and toothpicks. It's a pretty simple process here. I just clip the ends of the popsicle sticks and scuff up the corners with a hobby knife. I do a variety of lengths just to add a little bit more interest to the build. I then clip the pointy ends off of some toothpicks, and after I have a nice little pile, I glue them to what will be the underside of the shelves. While those are drying, I make a little door out of coffee stirrers. This door isn't anything fancy, just a roughly made door with 2 crossbeams. And then I scratch it up and break the door into pieces, so that it will look like it has been broken down with a considerable amount of force. By now, the black undercoat on the dungeon room has dried and we can start painting. I first overbrushed the room in a medium gray acrylic paint. This is a cheap Hobby Lobby paint that I'm trying to use up and will not be purchasing again. I would recommend using Apple Barrel Pewter Gray above this paint. Regardless, I feel wasteful not using it, so I cover the whole room with it and then do the floor with a coat of French Gray of the same brand. I then pick out a few floor bricks with Territorial Beige by Apple Barrel. While I still have this paint out, I do a quick overbrush on the gargoyle with the same acrylic paints. That way, it will be a good match for the room and look like it belongs. Now, the wood should all be dry, so I mix a few drops of burnt umber and blue ink into some glazing medium. I use a lot less blue, as it is just to dull down the warm-toned burnt umber. Then, I add a few drops of water with a pipette until I'm satisfied with the consistency. The mixture was still a little brighter than I wanted, so I dulled it down even more with a small amount of black ink. I then brush my mixture onto the bare wood. The mixture soaks in nicely and almost immediately makes the wood look old and aged. I also did a coat of this wash on the gargoyle. It was more of an impulsive decision. Regardless, it was a good decision. I decided to add some little beads and tools to the shelves. The beads just represent some random workshop stuff, and the tools are made out of craft sticks and toothpicks. I then paint all these objects with Vallejo black paint. And now, I go back to the room and add a black wash. The black wash I am using consists of water, black ink, varnish, and a small amount of flow improver. This mixture is excellent for pulling out details like cracks and crevices. When that dries completely, I go back in with a Tombow brush pen and pick out more of the cracks in the stones. Don't forget, I do have Amazon links in the description of this video to supplies such as this. If I can't find the exact supply, I will find one that is close enough. I then take some Apple Barrel Antique White and dry brush the room, the shelving, and the gargoyle. Pretty much everything we've made. To add a little more variety to the tools on the shelving, I pick out some metallic details with Vallejo bronze and oily steel. Then hit them with a messy burnt umber ink to give them that old rusty look. And now we are going to mix up our slime color. I don't know if you knew this, but you can mix black and yellow to get an olive green. You need quite a bit more yellow for this color, but it gives a much more natural and dank looking green than you will get by mixing blue and yellow or by using green right out of the tube. So, for the dankness of our upcoming rooms, this is what we will be doing. I also add a considerable amount of glazing medium and a few drops of water to the mixture. That way we can slather it on everything for that extra dank, slimy look. When everything is dry, I assemble the room with white PVA glue. I first glue the bits of broken door and the statue to the floor. Then I apply the glue to the spiky parts of the shelving and insert them directly into the wall. When assembled, I add some more slimy drips to the walls and floor with our greenish mixture. I then touch up all the black areas with some fresh black paint. If you're getting some value out of this channel, consider joining me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and you'll gain access to extra footage of videos like this one and videos that I've done in the past. Now stay tuned until the end of the video to see the dungeon build so far and for some recommendations of what to watch next.